recording.
Okay,
Okay, so first, I'd just like to thank you for taking part in this interview.
you're welcome.
And you're a male.
Mm.
And what kind of school do you work in?
I work in an international kindergarten, so yeah, throughout the day the kids will only only really be allowed to speak English. Yeah.
Okay, and how old are you?
Well, my class they are all 5 and 6, but yeah, it's a kindergarten, so there are other classes with like I think
No,
three to
sorry,
six.
how old are you, Rhys?
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry, I thought you said how old are they, the kids? I'm 28. Yeah.
Okay. And how many years have you been teaching in China, Shenzhen?
About 6.5 years now. Yeah.
Okie dokie, thank you.
Mm,
Okay, so the primary goal of my interview is to try and understand your work and life balance the way that you see it through
mm,
your own experience.
mm,
And I'm going to ask you like your opinions and what you think about the topics we're going to cover.
mm-hmm,
So it's mainly about work-life balance of foreign teachers in Shenzhen.
yeah, I understand.
Um, so the way that I've defined work-life balance is juggling five aspects of our lives at any one point, being work, family, friends, health, and spirit.
Okay.
Or it can also be seen as prioritizing between work and lifestyle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay. Do I have your consent to take part in this interview?
of course. Yeah, I'm not being held against my will.
Thank you. It will all be anonymous, so you don't need to worry about what you say. I won't mention your name or your company or anything like that.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So please could you just briefly tell me about yourself, like your background information?
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm from the UK or England specifically. um, Came to China 6.5 years ago to teach. Uh, well, back when I was living in England, I was working for an engineering company. Before that, I studied maths at university. So these 6.5 years in China, I spent 2 years working in public schools and then working in training centers, and now I'm working in an international kindergarten. I don't really have any like, hobbies or anything. I used to play the drums quite a bit, but not so much anymore. Really just yeah, go to work, go to the gym. That's about it, really. Yeah, I'm married, I guess. That's another point. Yeah, been married
So,
for about a year.
so you said that you was doing engineering in the
Mm,
UK and you did a maths degree.
yeah.
So, why did you decide to come to China?
Um, it was kind of out of the blue. I got a call from somebody, a recruiter for an agency in Shenzhen, and I just kind of did the interview, just thinking, might as well do it, see what it's all about, and that. And yeah, I did the interview, did a bit more research on it. I thought, hey, this might be something that I can go and do for like a year and just try it out. Travel a little bit. And then after the year, I thought, quite enjoyed it,
Yeah.
decent money, quite a lot of free time to travel during the holidays. So I stayed another year, and then in the second year, I met my now wife, and that yeah, that kind of kept me here really. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So it wasn't there was no plan behind it, just kind of happened.
just going with the flow.
Mm, yeah.
So, how would you say your overall experience living and working in Shenzhen is? Would you say it was good?
Of course, yeah. If it wasn't good, I wouldn't still be here. Um, yeah, I like it. I like my job. Um, I like how I can spend my free time.
Yeah.
I like the money I can earn here and save for the future. Yeah, overall pretty good. I like the city. Feel like it's feel like it's my home really. Been here for a long time.
Do you feel like you've got a good work-life balance?
Yeah, fairly. I mean, I do work a lot. Do like overtime and things, but that's kind of like a an
Optional.
optional thing that I don't need to do. But I don't mind doing it because um I want to make more money. So yeah, I don't
Okay.
mind it too much. I would maybe possibly cut down a little bit next year, but for this year, I'm pretty happy doing extra overtime for the money. Yeah.
So how many hours do you work a week?
Uh, well, I work from 8:30 until 5:30, Monday to Friday, and then on Thursday I work from half five. Sorry, on Thursday I work from 8:30 to half eight, so 12 hours on Thursday,
Oh,
and then on Saturday I work from 2:30 till 6. So it's about four. It's about 42 hours, I think. I mean, but that includes like 2 hour lunch breaks, 5 days a week. So yeah, like maybe like 30, 32, 35, like actual working hours. Yeah.
oh, that's good. I was expecting it to be more than that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a lot if you include the lunchtime breaks, but the lunchtime breaks are like 2 hours, so it's really only about 35 hours, like actual working time.
Oh, right, that's good.
Yeah. But
Um,
there's quite a lot of travel time though, so if you include like half an hour travel there and back every day, it's quite a lot.
yeah, adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, it's not too much.
So I've already asked you if you think you have a good work-life balance, and you think you have a pretty good work-life balance because it's your option to work
Yeah, exactly.
all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time.
I could always like at any moment I could always just next week for example, I just say right next week from now on I'm not doing the overtime and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you could choose your perfect work-life balance, what would it look like?
Um, that's a good question. Um, right now, I would say like without if I was to do anything, I would take away the Saturdays so I could have like a 2 day weekend. Um, but like yeah, the hours I work are fine. I think I don't mind it at all. Really, I don't really feel like there's things I wanted to be doing, but I can't do because I'm too busy at work. Like, I never feel like that. But I
Yeah.
do feel like having a 2 day weekend just to kind of relax more and recharge for like the week, like the next week
Mhm.
would be better. And also, I think having a little bit more holidays during like the winter holidays and the summer holidays would be nice. Maybe like an extra week for each like holiday. But yeah,
So at the
not too
moment,
much. I
do
would
you
say.
have Sundays off?
Yeah, I only have Sunday off. Yeah, I work like a half day on Saturday. I
Oh,
go in
okay.
2:30 and finish at 6. So,
And you just mentioned your winter and summer holidays. So how long
mm.
do you get for those?
um, 2 weeks for each. Um, yeah,
Okay.
it's about 2 weeks for winter and then yeah, 2 weeks for summer. Yeah, yeah, it's all paid, so it's fine.
But you said
Yeah,
if possible, if it was perfect, you'd prefer a little bit more time off in the winter and the
yeah,
summer.
like 3 weeks winter, 3 weeks summer would be better, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, how does your company help you maintain a good work-life balance,
Um,
if they do?
they don't really, to be honest. I don't. I mean, yeah,
No, do they not provide like Chinese classes or have flexible hours and things like that?
no, nothing like that. No, I mean it's a kindergarten. You can't really have flexible hours. You know what I mean? The kids come, and you got to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really provide anything for that. I don't think. No.
No, do you think that they could provide something like that on the
Uh,
company?
yeah, I think they could definitely um maybe cut down like the lunchtime break and then finish a bit earlier because we go home at 5:30, but the kids go home at 4:30. So they could if they wanted take away an hour from the lunch break, and then we could leave an hour earlier. Do you know what I mean? When the kids leave. So personally, if I were to change something about the work day, that would be it, and that would,
So the kids
yeah,
leave at 4:30 and you leave at 5:30.
yeah. So basically, that hour is used to like prepare for your lessons, um,
Okay.
plans, PBTs, whatever you need to do in that hour.
Is
And
that necessary, or do you think you could do that in the lunch break?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like
Okay.
I know we get a 2 hour lunch break.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I usually sleep during that lunch break, which is fine.
Yeah.
Because then I do my work later. But I would be fine not sleeping just so I could leave work an hour earlier. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
so it'd be good if they were more flexible and they said it's up to you. You can do if you've got
exactly,
your PPTs done, you can leave at 4:30 kind of thing.
definitely would be possible to do that. But I imagine if I were to ask them, they would say, "Well, no," you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Or they might dock you an hour.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's no way. There's no way I could just leave at 4:30. I mean, you have to clock out on your phone.
Oh,
So
yes.
like,
Yeah.
so if you're gonna clock out at 4:30, they will say, "Oh, oh, he's left at 4:30." It's totally fine. So yeah, but some days, like some weeks, there's just not that much work to do. So you kind of just sat around until 5:30, not really doing much. Maybe have your dinner or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind
But
of waste.
it's kind of wasting your time when you can be at home having your dinner. Do you know what I mean? On the
Yeah.
sofa, right?
Especially when you're
But
leaving at 5:30 just to get in the rush hour.
yeah, and then there's also days where there's like too much work to do, and
Oh, not enough
you know, not
time.
there's not enough time in the day. So then I have to use like the lunch break, which I usually sleep on, and then I feel more tired.
Yes.
Like for example, this week we've been having parents meetings. So like the parents come in for like a one-on-one chat with the teacher, and every day for the past, well, this week and last week it's gone over. So like I've been leaving at 6 o'clock, 6:30. So
And do
I
you
was
get
just not.
rewarded for that?
No, I think if I were to like push for it, I could maybe get like some overtime pay, but I don't imagine it would be very much.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's only for like 2 weeks, so I don't really mind too much. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
it'd
mean,
be good if it was a bit more flexible, wouldn't it? Like if you've done overtime, you can get like an hour off, leave an hour early next week or
yeah,
something.
exactly, yeah, exactly. I mean, I used to kind of do something like that. Like I used to work for the training center, which is owned by the same company. It's just owned by the same company, but it's not a kindergarten. And when I used to work there, um, it would be more flexible. So like if I did need to cover someone's classes and stay later, they would just say like, "Oh, you can leave early tomorrow or whatever." It's just
Yeah,
things like
that
that.
seems fair.
But that was kind of like because the head of HR at that place was a lot more friendly and lenient, so she kind of understood what like situation you're in, and she could just say, right, you can do that. Um, I will sort out your clocking in and clocking out on the system. I'll fix that for you. You can leave early because you stayed later yesterday or whatever. You know what I mean? Well, at the kindergarten, it's a bit more strict. Yeah.
Do you think because that lady was more understanding, it helps you be motivated to like do someone else's classes because you know you're gonna get some,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
makes you feel better. You're doing someone a favor and you get to leave early as well the next day.
Yeah. I was obviously much better friends with that person as well because they were a lot more understanding. And when you're on good like friendly terms with the people you work with, generally you're more motivated to do the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Like
Yeah.
like the head of HR at this place, she's strict by the book, no flexibility at all, and I don't really get on with her very well.
Yeah, everything's a bit black and white.
Mm, yeah, and it just feels like they don't respect my time as much. Like for example, um, when you clock in, if you're like 10 minutes late clocking in, you'll take away your pay. But if
Hmm.
you stay 20 minutes later, they're not going to give you any extra money, do you know? So
So you get
Well,
punishments and no
it's only a
rewards.
one-way street, and that is just a great way to demotivate someone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's very
Mm,
demotivating.
yeah, yeah. Like the other week, I stayed an extra hour, but I was late for like 3 minutes, and I lose like 20 quid or something,
Oh
even though I've
gosh.
literally worked an extra hour.
Oh my goodness. It's so
Mm-mm.
frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, do you often receive positive feedback from your employees? Employers, sorry. Employers.
Yeah, sometimes, like, yeah, it depends what kind of mood people are in, I guess. But
Yeah.
like this week when we've been having the parents' meetings, um, I've had quite a good, quite, a lot of positive feedback from the parents and also, my colleagues
Yeah.
who, see how happy the clients are. I'm gonna say, like, you're pretty
Doing
good
a
at
good
this.
job.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice to hear. Yeah.
Do you ever
Um,
receive negative feedback
I wouldn't say negative feedback.
or criticism, maybe?
Yeah, kind of like passive aggressive criticism. Do you
Mm,
know,
that's a good
like,
word.
oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you've not done this today, and can you please do this? It's like, well, I don't have the time because I've been doing parents' meetings every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say criticism, but it's just kind of backhanded marks. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. Which
So I
is
think,
silly. Which is silly because I'm literally working overtime.
oh God.
Yeah.
So I think
Mm.
we've kind of covered the next question. What can be done by your employers to help you have a more balanced work-life balance?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think having the option of working through lunchtime and then leaving a bit early would be good.
Yeah, like flexible working hours, a bit more
Yeah, I mean, we
flexible.
do have. I mean, me personally, I do have, in a sense, a kind of flexibility with my overtime. So if I wanted, I could actually move those extra classes that I do as overtime to like different days. It would be difficult to do, but if I really wanted to do it, I could do it. Like I could just say, oh, I don't want to do Saturdays anymore. Can we move that to like Monday and Tuesday?
Mm.
And they could probably find a way around it. Yeah. In fact, when I first decided to do it, they asked me which days do you want to do it, and I said Thursday and Saturday.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So originally, when I started it, yeah, I had the option. I mean, it would be difficult now because we would have to, ask all the parents, and then they would have to like maybe change their schedules around, and maybe
Yeah.
one student couldn't make the time or something. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be difficult
Yeah.
to do, but certainly if I really wanted to do it, I could do it. Yeah. Yeah.
So, at the moment, do you think that you work too much or too little?
I mean, uh, I probably do work a little bit too much in the sense that I feel very exhausted some days, but at the end of the day, I'm doing it to get more money, so I don't mind. I don't mind that at all. So I wouldn't say too much. I'd say I work a lot, but I wouldn't say too much. I think I spend a lot of time like at work because of the travel time back and forth.
Mm,
But I wouldn't say I work too much. As I said, I only work like 35 hours a week, which is pretty normal, really.
yeah. Yeah.
But if you add in 6 hours travel time every week, minimum, probably more like 7 or 8 because of the traffic, then it's like 42 hours of my week dedicated to work, and that's without any extra overtime, which often happens. Yeah, so I wouldn't say I work too much, no.
So, you work in the kindergarten and like Monday to Friday, 8:30 till 5:30. Is that
Mm.
how many teaching hours is that? Is that teaching the whole day or is that a lot of office hours as well?
No, it's not a lot of teaching hours. It's just you spend the whole day with the kids. So if they go and have PE class with the PE teacher outside, then I'm
Mm,
gonna be there to like watch the kids, make sure they're all behaving and things. When they're having like the lunch or the snacks or whatever, you kind of sit with the kids, have lunch with them, chat to them.
mm.
They have like 20 minutes reading time every day. and then the actual classes, the lessons, it's only about it's about 35 minutes per class, and we have two a day. So just over an hour actual teaching every day. But obviously, you're with the kids all day,
All
every day,
day. Yeah.
chatting to them, encouraging them to speak English in more like a natural environment, really.
Okay, I see. So you are basically at work for the whole day. You don't really get any
Yeah,
time to
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. There's just the lunchtime break, and then the hour after they leave. So the hour after they leave is like your office hours,
Yeah.
and then whilst they're at school, you're with the kids all day. Yeah.
Do you think that 1 hour office hour is enough to prepare for the next day?
Not really, usually. Um, Often instead of going down to like watch them have PE class, often I'll spend that time preparing for like half an hour. So usually I'll spend about an hour and a half every day, um, in the
Okay.
office. But some of that time I'll be like having my dinner. Like when they leave at 4:30, usually I'll like order dinner and have dinner in the office because like we have lunch at 11:30, which is quite early. So by
Yeah.
5:30, dinner.
Starving.
You know what I mean? So So like if I were to finish at 4:30 and work in lunchtime instead, I could actually just go home and have dinner. So I would actually probably get more work done. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm in the office for the hour, but I'm
But you're
spending
having
20
dinner.
because I'm just so hungry. Do you know what I mean? It's like because if we imagine if you have lunch at 11:30, you finish work at 5:30, you don't get home until past 6 o'clock, and then you order food, and you're looking at a 7 hour gap between eating there. You're going to be starving to death. Like I have to eat at like 5 o'clock,
Well,
otherwise.
yeah, you're not going to be feeling well because obviously you're on your feet all day with the kids, aren't you, as well? And
Yeah,
it's
yeah, exactly.
quite a lot, isn't it?
Mm, yeah, yeah,
Do you
yeah,
feel like your work is meaningful?
yeah, for sure, yeah. Um, I can see just within the 6 months of this year, like how much all the students' English has progressed. So that's obviously meaningful. Like these kids are definitely learning a lot, and not just learning English, but learning how to act, socialize.
Yeah, growing up,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
sharing everything.
yeah, there's a lot of your personality that you can kind of I would say imprint in the kids, but guide them towards acting in a certain way.
Mm.
Be polite to people, which is very important. Yeah, to raise the next generation.
Um, a few times you've mentioned that you work quite a lot and it's because you want to earn money. Is that
Mm.
one of the biggest goals for working in China?
Um, well, I mean, you're not allowed to live here if you don't have a job, really. So, um,
But I mean,
yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's like one of the main goals. Yeah, because I want to save money and retire early.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm perfectly happy to work harder now so that I can retire earlier. Yeah, like in my mid 40s. Yeah,
okay, okay. And
I wouldn't say it's
also,
like I wouldn't say it's like the only like the main driving primary goal because I do enjoy my job.
yeah,
But it's definitely up there. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So earlier you mentioned that you've worked in quite a few different types of schools, like training centre, public school, and now you're in the international.
Yeah.
What would you say is the main difference between these kind of jobs?
Well, certainly the working hours between the training center and the kindergarten, because the training center working hours are from like 2 till 9 o'clock in the evening.
Mm,
So, and also the weekends usually. Like
evening,
I
weekend.
I worked Wednesday to Sunday, and then the second year I worked from Tuesday to Saturday. So, almost no weekend and most of your evenings. So your social life is basically non-existent.
Yeah, no social
If you're
life.
working in a training center, which was actually one of the reasons why I moved away from it. I went to work in a kindergarten. Um,
Right.
but yeah, the public school is basically the same as the kindergarten, same working hours, really. Uh,
So what's that in general? Because you work from 8:30 till 5:30, is that what you mean?
yeah, now. But
Yeah.
like at the training center, I would work from 2 in the afternoon till 9 at night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You also mentioned that on Thursdays you work until a bit later at night, don't you?
yeah, yeah.
Is that at the same? Oh, is that at a different?
It's yeah, kind of. It's like a training center classes, but we have the class in the kindergarten, so I don't need to travel anywhere.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
but it is basically, the same class that I used to have. Well, it is the same class that I used to have. So when I moved to the kindergarten, those students still wanted me to teach them.
Yeah.
They were happy to just come to the kindergarten to have the class, but it's the same um, group of kids that I'm teaching. Yeah.
I see. And this is the extra that you've done off your
Yeah.
own back, right? But if you
Yeah.
wanted to, you could just work 8:30 till 5:30, and then you'd have your
Yeah.
evenings and weekends.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, got it. Because that's why you moved from the training centre
Yeah.
to the kindergarten. And
Yeah.
is the salary like quite similar for like training centre, public school, international school?
It's fairly similar. Yeah, I would say international school is slightly higher,
Mm.
and public schools are slightly lower um, than the training centers. Yeah, yeah,
Because recently I've been seeing some posts for like public primary schools, and she was offering like 23, and I was like, what you want about? I'm
yeah,
expecting 35, you bitch.
exactly. Yeah. Well,
Um,
I'm I'm on 35 now, but that's an international school, which is expected to be a little bit higher. But also,
yeah,
I'm very experienced. You know what I mean? So like
yeah,
those jobs for like 23 are probably looking for someone who has like maybe a 1 year's experience. You know what I mean?
yeah, probably.
And maybe even non-native teachers as well.
Yeah, I was quite shocked. Thought she
Yeah.
was having a laugh, and she said, yeah, you can't expect that kind of money anymore. I think because China's opening up now a bit more,
Yeah,
that
it could
might be
possibly.
lowering.
Yeah, I mean, it could possibly go down by like a few thousand, but there's
Yeah, but not
no
by
way.
10.
Yeah, there's no way I would now be going from 35 to 25. Like, that would never happen. I might just stay at 35
Yeah.
for the 2 years, but I certainly wouldn't take a pay cut anyway. Yeah.
Hmm.
And in fact, I think my job I work for um, do actually give you a pay rise every year, no matter what. Maybe not like a huge pay rise, so it definitely wouldn't go down anyway.
Okay, well, that's good. Do you think because you get a pay raise each year at your current job, that would um motivate you to stay working at your current job?
Yeah, possibly, but if I could find the same pay at another company, possibly something closer to where I live, so I don't have to
Mm.
travel more, or maybe just a company that I would prefer to work for, then I could definitely, leave. It's a possibility. I'm 50-50 at the moment if I'm going to stay or not. Um, it's going when I get closer to the time, closer to the end of the year. I'm going to have a look at the market, see if I can find any jobs with like the same money, which I think would be more enjoyable. Then I definitely think about moving jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there anything that your employees can do to make you stay other than giving you the
Uh,
rise?
Possibly a little bit. The One of the main reasons I want to leave is actually um, like the curriculum we use, or more precisely, the lack of a curriculum that we use, because they don't really have one at all. They kind of you know just say, right, this month you're teaching about sports, or even worse, they just say, well, we don't know what you're teaching next month, you decide. um you
Oh, I
know
hate it when that happens.
yeah, so I mean, you would expect from an international school that's been established for 6-7 years to have a more clearly thought out curriculum, and then the teachers who come and work there have more of an idea of what they're teaching. They can decide how they teach, but at least they know what they're teaching. But at
Yeah.
this place, it's not like that at all. They just kind of don't have a clue and just tell all the teachers, you decide. But obviously, there's not enough time in the day to
Yeah,
be
I'm
thinking
surprised that
about
they
all of
don't
that.
use someone like you who've got so much experience
Mm.
to help you like implement a
All
new
right.
curriculum.
Right, yeah, but there's not really time in the year because like when it's like half term, the kids go on holiday or whatever. The teachers are also on holiday.
Yeah.
We have we have like a week in winter where we spend that week kind of doing a little bit of that, kind of figuring out what we're going to teach for the next few months. But there's no like, for this kind of thing, you need like 2, 3 weeks where you just sit down every day, maybe a group of you, and you kind of hammer it out
Mm.
every year, kind of improve it and evolve. But there's just no time in the year for that.
What do other
Really,
schools do? Do they buy curriculums?
some of them do, yeah. Some of them just, like I said, they've created their own, and then over years they've kind of improved it and it's evolved, and they use that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Some of them literally just grab the curriculum that the UK uses in their, kindergartens or whatever, or primary school. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense as well. I think I'd probably do that.
yeah. But our school, yeah, it doesn't do any of that, and it's just a lot of unnecessary extra work, really. When you're a school that's been established for so many years, you should
It's
really,
embarrassing.
yeah, you should have this kind of figured out. And if you were to speak to the clients about this, and if the clients who are paying all this money to send the kids there had any idea how little of an idea the school knows about what they're going to teach, I mean, they would be quite. But obviously, they don't know that. So
And how about if you brought this up with one of your managers, for example? How, like, do you feel like you could speak to someone above you about this, or is your
yeah,
word
I have spoken
okay?
about it on multiple occasions. The answer is always, yeah, great idea, and then
Nothing
nothing ever.
gets done.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of did a little bit, something, um, before we started the semester, where we kind of all sat down and brainstormed topics that we're going to teach for every month for every class. But that's kind of too vague, and this
Yeah,
kind of curriculum needs to be like hammered down precisely. You know exactly what words, grammar, structures you're teaching, for like the whole year. This is,
yeah,
it needs to be more detailed than just
yeah.
say,
You did like day one. Like, do you need
yeah,
to carry on?
yeah. You can't just say like, oh, these are the 7 topics we're teaching for this semester. Yeah,
No.
a bit more detailed, really. Yeah,
But, um,
yeah.
how do you think that people view foreign teachers in China? So we can talk about like how do your Chinese colleagues view foreign teachers, or how do other foreigners view foreign teachers?
It's
In
a
your
mixed
opinion?
bag, really. It's a mixed bag. Yeah, you never really know what people really think, but my guess would be there's a handful of people that are, you know, always always looking to learn from us and improve their own English. Like my colleagues spend a lot of time talking to me and want to improve their English, and it helps them.
Yeah,
And then there are some people who think, who are these silly foreigners coming over here? They don't care about the job. They just get paid 3 times my wage just because he has a white face. There are some people like that. And then there are some people who don't really have any opinion, I guess. It's a mixed bag, really. In terms of what other foreigners think about foreigners,
yeah,
um, yeah, I think possibly there is a little bit of people who aren't teachers maybe looking down on foreign teachers, thinking, oh, you don't really have, like a proper job. You're just here because it's easy money for you, and you're not really, go to
yeah,
your whatever.
yeah.
Maybe there's a little bit of that, but I don't think too much. Yeah, I was thinking more positive. There's definitely more positive than negative I think.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So would you say it's a respectable job?
Yeah, I would say so. I think more respectable in the eyes of Chinese people, I think. Because I mean, just generally the culture
Yeah,
reveres teachers more than Western culture does. So for sure, yeah.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, from my experience speaking to like the parents of the students that I've all taught, parents and grandparents actually, definitely it seems like they all highly respect, foreign teachers. Yeah, yeah.
and how about your like Chinese teachers, did they also respect the foreign teachers?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, certainly me personally, maybe there are other foreign teachers. I'm sure they exist where they maybe a lot more lazier than the Chinese colleagues. They don't
Mm,
Chinese colleagues don't really feel like they deserve the extra, the much higher salary that they get. But for
yeah,
me personally, I've never really encountered any sort of negative feeling like that. But I imagine there are.
yeah, I'd imagine so.
Yeah, there are people out there like that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you think that you get a fair salary?
That is a good question. I mean, everyone thinks their salary is fair if it's a lot, and if it's not, then it's unfair. But I don't know. I guess so. I think it's quite fair for the amount of work I put in. I mean, let's be honest. The parents pay a lot of money to send their kids to these schools, and I'm, the teacher of the class. So I deserve to get a high salary. I'm teaching these kids whose parents pay a lot of money to send their kids here. So yeah, I think I get paid
Yeah.
quite well. Yeah, my overtime is paid on a higher hourly rate than my normal hours. So yeah, I think so.
Do you think that the Chinese teachers get paid a fair salary?
I think some of them do. I think some of them work, the fingers to the bone, and they don't get anywhere near as much as they should do.
Mm,
Uh, Obviously, the salaries are like three times lower or whatever for
yeah.
my to me, whereas they probably work as hard as I do. Maybe they're not like experienced or as good at teaching as I am, or being around kids or whatever. But yeah, the massive gap between the salaries it is a lot, and for the most part they all work very hard. But there's not really much that can be done about that. It's just the market, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely. And they probably get a fair wage
yeah.
through.
They get much higher than the average salary. All of my colleagues.
Oh, right, that's good.
Yeah, I mean the average salary in the city is what is it like? I don't know, 6, 7 thousand or something. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I think like
I'm
factory workers can get 7,000.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they all get above that. Maybe not a lot more than that, but for sure, I think they all get higher than the average salary. But
Yeah.
you have to have good English to be able to work there. I mean, I guess the cleaning staff, their salary would, I imagine, would be a lot lower. I have no idea how much they get paid though. So, but yeah, like the English speaking staff definitely get paid quite good, I guess.
Yeah. Hmm. Are there any disadvantages working and living in China for you?
Well, there's obviously the language barrier. You know,
Yeah.
if um, if there's anything I want to do which requires speaking to a Chinese person, for example, that can be quite a headache. Like
Mm.
signing up at the gym or whatever can be quite difficult. My wife would have to come with me and discuss, which we did the other day. Um, Outside of the language barrier, there's really not much I have a problem with. Um, yeah, it's not a huge barrier. My Chinese is getting better. I do know some Chinese, so it's not always an obstacle that I can't get through myself.
Okay,
Uh,
but at the moment, that's the biggest barrier for you, the
yeah,
language.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So, do you see a future in Shenzhen?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I plan to start a family and settle down here. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you just mentioned that you plan to start a family, and you mentioned earlier you've got a Chinese wife.
Mm,
Do you think that's impacted you a lot to make you want to stay here for longer?
yeah, of course. Yeah. I wouldn't say for sure, but there's definitely a good chance I wouldn't still be here if I didn't meet my wife. Because
Yeah.
like before, like after the second year of working here, I didn't really enjoy my job that much, and I wasn't making as much money. So I was thinking about leaving, but I met my wife, and I wanted to stay with her. And then since then, I've got a better job, making more money, so that's not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
So now I can definitely see myself settling down here. Yeah, but
So do you
obviously,
think, sorry,
yeah, obviously my Chinese is getting better, so like that main obstacle will be alleviated over time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Mm.
So do you think it's important for expats who are coming to China to be integrated in China, like have Chinese friends or a girlfriend, boyfriend, and that'll help them want to stay in China for a long period?
Sure. Yeah. Like I don't know many people that have stayed here for like a really long time that don't have a Chinese wife or a Chinese girlfriend.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think I know anyone.
Don't really meet many people like that, do you?
No.
I mean, the two people I've worked with have been here for like um a similar amount of time as I have, and they both have like girlfriends, but not serious girlfriends. So I guess they would kind of be an example. But yeah,
Hmm. Do they
the
have Chinese girlfriends?
yeah, Chinese girlfriends, yeah, but like nothing serious. And also, one of them is thinking about leaving. So I imagine if he was in a more serious relationship, that wouldn't be something you'd want to do. Yeah, just speaking from my own
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
friends, like I've got one friend who left, never came back, and another friend who left and wants to come back, and he is the one who's married to a Chinese girl, and obviously they want to both come back and live
Oh,
in.
really?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I have another friend who was with a Chinese girl who went back to England, like he just didn't like the country, and he was willing to break up the relationship just so he could move back to England.
Oh
So I guess
gosh.
mixed bag of all three. Really, I've got a friend who was with a Chinese girl wants to come back. Someone was the Chinese girl didn't want to come back, and then someone who wasn't with a Chinese girl and so ended up leaving. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, it definitely would encourage you to stay if you were with a Chinese girlfriend or wife, I think.
Yeah, or even if you knew the language and you were more integrated so you could get around more easily and stuff like that, do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, and I think also just making friends with Chinese people helps your Chinese and your understanding of the place, and that would encourage you to stay. Yeah, so I think if someone was coming to China, I would definitely encourage them to go out and meet native Chinese people for sure. Yeah.
Do you have many Chinese friends?
I don't have any like Chinese friends, but I would consider um a person I work with who is Chinese as like a friend, but
Yeah.
not like a very close friend, but certainly a friend. Yeah.
Okie dokes. Do you
Yeah.
think that you have the opportunity to grow in your company, like grow up the organizational ladder?
Not really. No, there's not really um any opportunity for that.
No.
Most cases for like a foreign teacher, you're a foreign teacher, and that's what it is really. There's not really anything above that if you don't speak Chinese. But obviously, um, I am slowly learning Chinese, so that could be an option many years down the road. But for now, no.
Okay. So earlier you mentioned that you want to work hard now so you can retire early.
Mm.
Um, if you didn't want to retire early, do you think that you could work as a teacher until retirement age?
No,
No, why not?
no. Certainly not as a kindergarten teacher. Anyway, that requires far more energy than you would have in your 50s, for example. Um,
Okay.
but on top of that, I just think it's just weird. I think just being around kids all day when you're that old is just
Mm.
weird.
Yeah.
Not really the way to describe it. It's just weird. Um, oh, I wouldn't imagine teaching into my 50s. Possibly I could do some kind of part-time work, maybe with some kids that I've been teaching for many years. But
Yeah, or maybe like a university or a high school.
yeah, I certainly wouldn't work in a kindergarten though,
No.
or a primary school actually at that age.
What age, like, would, in your opinion, is a cut-off point for working with really young children?
I would say when you get to about 40.
Yeah. And in your opinion, like the teachers that you know across Shenzhen, are they generally like older or younger or middle-aged?
Usually around my age, maybe like a few years older, like so around 30 generally. Yeah, yeah. I mean, because of the border situation, there've not really been any new young teachers just coming out of university that have come over. So I would say the average age of like your foreign teachers in Shenzhen is higher than it was when I first came anyway.
Mm. Yeah, but
Um,
generally it's quite young, isn't it, before COVID?
yeah, you would meet so many like 22, 23, 24-year olds who this is like their first or second job. But now it's most of the people you meet that are in the city have been here for many years. Um, yeah. So
Do
I
you
would say
think
I was usually around my age, yeah.
do you think that's why sometimes people have like a negative reaction to foreign teachers because they think maybe that's something you should do when you're early 20s, you're on a gap year, it's not
Yeah,
something you
I think
should do as a lifelong job?
I think it was a lot more like that a few years ago as well.
Yeah.
Um, so like I worked for an agency which sent 200 teachers into different schools around the city, and almost all of those teachers were in the 20s, and this was like either their first or second job. Um, so yeah, and most of those people were like that. They were just here for a gap year, don't really care about the job. They just coming to collect the salary. They're not going to try hard at the job at all. Not going to do any extra work.
Yeah.
You know, not really going to try and progress with the career. They're just here to travel 2 months out of the year, really. But I would say that's less the case now. Although that could just be the
COVID.
so, yeah, that could just be COVID, and it could also just be like the friend circle. The people I
Hmm.
socialize with nowadays tend to be a lot older because I'm also older, so that could be that. But I think it's probably both.
So we've not actually talked about that much about your social life because you did mention that you like going to the gym and just things like that, that you don't really have that many hobbies outside of work.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really have like a huge social life, but I'd I've always been like that really.
Yeah.
I guess my first year of being in China, I had quite a busy social life. Like I lived with my friends. We'd go out and socialize like 3, 4 days a week.
Wow.
Um, I lived in a community with like other friends, like 6, 7 friends lived in the same like community as me. So we'd always like go around to each other's houses like every day. And even if it's just a watch TV together or whatever. But now, getting married, settling down, we're working a bit harder. I don't really have as much of a social life, but that's more a case of me choosing not to really. I'm not really too fussed about it. Doesn't really.
Yeah,
I never,
so
I never feel like, oh, I'm working Saturday. I wish I could do this. Usually, I'm just like, well, I don't have anything to do on Saturday anyway, so it's fine if I work.
yeah, that makes sense. So you actually feel like you've got a pretty good work-life balance because that's what
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
your choice and that's what you
yeah,
like. That makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Do you ever feel burnt out?
Yeah, I think so. Um, yeah, sometimes like mentally burnt out, just being around kids all day, every day, and
Yeah.
then obviously with the overtime, and then coming in on Saturday. Yeah, sometimes for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think we mentioned this earlier. Do you think you have input on the materials that you teach?
Yeah, yeah. I basically decide like everything I teach. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. The only problem with it is that there's no like time in the year where I sit down and like really think about it and structure it in a more detailed, precise way. It's kind of done bit by bit throughout the year. So like what I'll do is every month, I will plan what I'm going to teach next month. Whereas what I prefer to do is every year figure out what I'm going to teach next year. Do you know what I mean? So it's when I start the semester, I know what I'm going to teach.
Yeah,
Um,
so it'd be good if the work allocated you like a month of
yeah,
absolute free time
yeah,
to plan.
like 2 weeks before the school year 2-3 weeks before the school year to do that.
Yeah.
Even just once, and then the next year I wouldn't need as much time. I could just change small things. But yeah, I think it would be good to have that at least to begin with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, if you had a friend who was considering moving to China, what advice would you give them so they could maintain a good work-life balance?
Well, I guess I do have a friend coming to China, but he's already been here before. He's the one I was talking about who's married to a Chinese girl. He's going to come back and then teach. So yeah, for him, he's married and thinking about settling down. Well, he's actually got a kid on the way. So for
Okay.
him, it'd be a little bit different. Like I don't have a kid.
Mm,
You would have that to think about. But
mm,
I would say try and get a job where you work, 9 till 5 every day. I wouldn't do any like extra like weekend work. I would just stick to the 9 till 5. Try and find a good job that pays you well enough to do that. And yeah, just try and socialize with your friends at least one day a week. Definitely plan to do that. You know, living close to your
your
friends
job. Oh, to
is
your friends.
living close to your friends and job
Okay.
both. So you don't feel like you have to travel across the city to get to work, and you don't have to travel across the city to see your friends. Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
just try and live fairly close to both. Maybe like 20 minutes taxi drive max.
And would you say don't take too much overtime so they could spend more time with the family? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I would definitely not recommend doing any weekend overtime if you've got a kid. Yeah,
Yeah, because you're going to be way too burnt out and miss out on the family life.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, and just 9 to 5, nothing more.
Okay. So in some countries, they've started to implement a 4-day work week
Mm.
and they've had some really good results. Like it's been more productive and the workers get the same pay, so it's really motivational. Do you think this could be duplicated in China for teaching specifically?
No, simply because of how this school week is. Like, if the kids are coming 5 days a week, you got to teach them 5 days a week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
The
So
whole system would have to be changed for that. So I think probably not. No.
yeah, so probably not for your international kindergarten, but how about if you was working in a training centre?
Yeah, in the training center. Yeah, possibly. Um, yeah, but even then, um, the way like your actual classes are set, like the times they're set, the kids
Mm,
don't school until 4:30, so that means they can only come for classes at 5. Um, so then you only have time every day for like 2 classes on each day. So if you were to only work 4 days a week, you would only be able to have 8 classes per week instead of 10. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
so yeah, probably it wouldn't really be possible. I
Yeah,
mean, you could definitely choose to just work part-time and just choose to work 4 days a week. You could definitely work part-time at training centers, I guess.
but you can't work part-time legally as a foreigner.
Maybe you could. Maybe there are training centers out there that only want you to work there 4 days a week. I mean, they're probably very rare, but I imagine there's some place out there that could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you had your own school and you was employing foreign teachers, what would you do like to retain them so they stay at your company for more than just 1 year or something
I
like
think the
that?
main one, well, I guess the main two. First one would have to be a competitive enough salary, and secondly, it would just to make sure that they feel valued. A lot of time, I think um, teachers don't feel like the company values them enough. Like for example, if I'm 5 minutes late and I stay for an hour extra overtime, I don't feel valued there at all. Like the extra hour that I worked, I get nothing for it. So that's very demotivating, isn't it?
Yeah, and you get so severely punished for a couple of minutes late.
Exactly. Yeah. Just I guess it's just making sure that they would feel valued every time they do a good job. Praise them as much as you can, because there's a lot of companies I worked for. I've worked just as hard at every single one of them, but some of them I work for, I feel like I'm the most valued person at the company, and the one I work for now, I feel like they don't really care. I'm just like another teacher that they could replace at any time. They don't really, value me as much as
Yeah.
other places. Yeah.
When you feel more valued, do you feel like you just naturally do a better job,
Um,
or
I
you're
wouldn't
more
say do a better
motivated?
job. I would say I maybe am not so quick to be out the door at 5:30 on the dot. You know what I mean? I would say I always try and do my best simply because I'm doing it for the kids. I'm teaching the kids. That's what's important. I don't particularly do my job well just so my boss thinks I'm amazing. I do it because I want the kids to learn something. So for
Mm.
teaching specifically, I guess for me, um, the kids learning something and the parents saying, you've done a good job. To me, that is more valuable. But
Yeah,
I
definitely.
imagine there are definitely people out there, a lot of people out there, there, yeah, that would affect them more than me. I know, for example, one of the people I used to work with, I know for sure that she would definitely work much less hard, um, if she didn't feel particularly valued. And at times I know she didn't, and then
Went
she
downhill.
yeah, she didn't really put in the work she should have, really. Yeah.
Mm. So you actually sound like a really passionate teacher now. Do you think that your feelings have changed through the years? Like you first came for the experience and for a good salary, and then you met your wife, and now you really sound like you're quite into teaching. Like,
Yeah, I think the first 2 years when I was working in public schools, I just felt like being a foreign teacher in a public school is completely useless. The kids don't learn anything. There's just too many kids in the class. The whole thing, I just think it's pointless for a foreign teacher to work there.
hmm,
Um, so when I moved into training centers and now kindergartens, I feel like the kids are actually learning something from me. So there's a reason for me to do my job. Like I'm not just there to collect my salary and you know, it's
yeah.
point. My job is pointless. You know what I mean? I don't feel like that anymore. Um, so feeling like my job has some kind of worth is definitely encouraging me to be a bit more passionate about my job. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Do you think there's many people like you, or more people who are here just for the
No,
salary?
I mean, it's on a spectrum. I think maybe not as much. I think back when I first started, most people were like that. They didn't really care about the job. They're just
Yeah,
here for the holidays and the easy money. But I think
yeah.
now, I don't know, maybe 50-50. It depends where you work, really.
Hmm.
Training centers, kindergarten, schools, I guess a different ratio at each place. I think. I
Hmm.
think like international schools, international kindergartens. I think teachers are generally more passionate and care more about the job.
Do you think that's got anything to do with the policy changes in the recent years? So now it's a bit stricter, they're really checking people's like
Uh,
degrees and stuff, and it means that you need a legal working contract.
yeah, it maybe helped a little bit. Maybe not too much, but maybe a little bit. Yeah, but even so, I know um people who are really good teachers and really passionate about the job who then couldn't get a teaching visa because of the new.
Mm,
So it works both ways, I guess.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is the end. Do you think that there's anything that you'd like to add? Anything we've missed?
I don't know. I think that was pretty detailed, I guess.
Well, thanks so much for
Yeah.
participating in this interview. And is it okay if I use our results in my study?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Mm. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm going to stop recording.
Mm. Okay.
Okay.